I'm Keith DeCandido, and it's an all-new, all-different, all-exciting, all-innovative, or at least an all-new, episode of The Chronic Rift. Tonight we're going to take a look at science fact in science fiction. How much S does there need to be in SF? That's for our roundtable discussion.
Finally, long delayed by Marvel Comics and their corporate parent, the Punisher movie is going directly to tape. It'll be in stores in April at a price of $92.95. Guess who has to pay for the film industry's latest blunder? The real crime is that video and comic stores that waited for legal copies instead of buying and selling bootleg copies at $15 to $25 are now being rewarded by being gouged for a title that may rent well if all of our customers haven't seen the film on bootleg tapes. I'm the Man in Black, and this has been the Video Report.
Thank you, Man in Black.
This week's comic in review is William Messner-Loeb's Bad Weather, Volume 2 of the Journey Saga, published by Fantagraphics Books. The first volume was published in 1987 and was called Tall Tales. It collects Messner-Loeb's Journey series, which was started in 1983 and has been running on and off since. It's been mostly off lately, as Messner-Loeb has been busy doing work on mainstream comics, especially
we will examine science fact in science fiction and try to answer the question of how important the science is in the fiction success. With me and Andrea to discuss it are on my left, Marina France, who is a student at MIT. She last appeared in a discussion of Quantum Leap and is here once again to talk about this. On the other side of Andrea is Charles Platt, an author of both fiction and nonfiction in the genre, including the recent novel The Silicon Man. And remotely from his home in Florida is Ben Bova, who is a renowned hard science writer of numerous books, as well as an award-winning editor for various magazines.
There are some books that are marketed as hard science fiction. And if you pick up said book, you really expect it to be as accurate as humanly possible. There are others that are marketed as soft or anthropological or sociological science fiction. And with them, you give a little leeway. And there are certain inaccuracies and impossibilities that science fiction readers just accept as a given in books. Faster than light travel, for example, and time travel and things like that. I mean, most writers don't even bother justifying faster than light travel in their books anymore. They just say that it happens, and the readers just accept it and say, well, that's part of the science fiction
story, that is a story in which science is an integral part of the plot, should be as accurate as a historical novel or any other kind of writing. If you read a novel about the Civil War in which Abraham Lincoln was described as 5'2" and bald, you feel the author probably didn't do his homework.
What about somebody like, say, well, Harlan Ellison, for example, to give a rather vocal example, he's talked about how he doesn't really know anything about science and doesn't see that interferes.
Actually, Ellison says he's not a science fiction author, so he's
there's
a
that,
particularly good example. I mean, he quite happily admits he's scientifically completely ignorant. So, I mean, it seems to me it's a question of what the reader expects. And obviously, if you pick up a book with a dragon on the cover, you're not expecting to learn anything about the real world. The reason I started writing science fiction was because I wanted to write the kinds of things that I wanted to read. And what I wanted to read was going to tell me something about the future and my place in it and what might happen. And so I was kind of a serious reader in that sense, even though some of the ideas might have seemed
We'll see you next week when we talk about Beauty and the Beast. Good night.
This episode was sponsored in part by Tor Books, a publisher of fantasy and science fiction books available at your local bookstore, including White Jenna by Jane Yolen, and The Red Tape War by Jack L. Chalker, Mike Resnick, and George Alec Effinger. Both now available, as well as the upcoming Xenocide by Orson Scott Card, to be released in August. Comics Interview, the magazine where both the fans and the pros turn to see who's who and how it's done. For a free sample copy or special discount on any Comics Interview publication, write to Comics Interview, 234 5th Avenue, Suite 301, New York, New York, 10001. Analog, science fiction, science fact magazine, the leader in the scientifically plausible for over 60 years. Subscribe to Analog and enjoy out-of-this-world reading issue after issue. To receive 8 issues for $12.97, send check or money order to Analog, P.O. Box 7061, Department MUSC-0, Red Oak, Iowa, 51591. Omega Zone, a store specializing in comic books and video movie rentals, located at 46 8th Avenue between West 4th and Horatio in Manhattan. Telephone 212-645-6941.